What's up? MIX-R.P.D here. Welcome. Okay, let's get into this. So the idea here is coming from the great Sam's Raps. I was looking for educational audio ideas, and one of his many good ones was to explain a vocal chain and why, like the logic behind it, sort of thing. So we've got here a poppy, sort of dancey rap song that I downloaded the multi-tracks off the internet. I can put the link in the description down below, that stuff. Uh, so you can get the multi-tracks too. But let's have a listen to it. So this is, well, here, we can do this. I have the original tracks here. So let's play the original tracks. I've just put them through a bit of a limiter, so they're not super, super quiet. But let's have a listen to how they sound originally. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. Ron Kelly. Get freaky. Yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't come in for the vocal for a while. Let's skip ahead a bit.
As I ride with my horse, burn it up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pin with no force. All equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assault, I got bad.
Okay, so as you can hear, it's quite unmixed. There's all kinds of doubles and ad-libs and all kinds of stuff going on, and it sounds crazy. Okay, so now we can listen to a little bit of my mix. So I'll play it from the beginning, and I'll play it from the first verse as well.
As I ride with my horse, burn it up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pin with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assault. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth, by the bang, no remorse. You be telling all these lies, who's your man, who's your source? Hand me those keys, let me...
Okay, so that's a feel for it. Yeah, so we got a lot of vocals going on. So I figured this would be a good example. So, okay, let's get into it. I mean, really, the main overall point that I want to make is that, it's never just about one thing in isolation in a mix. It's always about how all the sounds interact, and the vocal is probably the most important part, always when there's a vocal, likely. But it's no different, And interestingly, I was able to mix a little, with my experience that I have, I was able to take the vocal and mix it on its own to a certain point, but only to a certain point and only with some experience. But to actually get it to mix with the track, I have to put it in context, right? And in this case, actually, I'll try to highlight some of them as we go, but I've done a lot of changes, a few changes at least anyways, to the arrangement because it was just over busy, really. And you can end up over mixing the vocals because the arrangement's not working. Mixing always starts with arrangement. So, okay, so let's look at the main vocal here. So, first of all, we have some noise reduction. So the reason I was using this was because actually there seemed to be a lot of room tone on the vocal. And yeah, it didn't sound good. I don't know if maybe they added some kind of echo or something. I don't know. But it sounded like room tone to me, and I didn't like how it sounded. So this is not the ideal tool to try to deal with that, but I don't have available right now what I should be using, so I tried to just use that. Anyways, so that did a little bit. And then I'm using Oxford Inflator here, and this is to just make the vocal sound louder, because as you could hear in the original tracks, it was very muffled and buried in the music, and I also wanted to make the music bigger. So it was going to need to get louder. I mean, in terms of logic, the only the only thing I would say at this point is that whatever you notice about the vocal first, I mean, you got to make your assessments. Whatever you notice about the vocal in relation to everything else, you got to make your assessments and figure out what you want to do. And anything that you want to sort of correct or fix, like for instance, the room tone issue, that's best to take care of right away. And in addition, so here, let's listen to this vocal. I'm going to bypass everything here. And we're going to listen to the vocal as it is. I mean, honestly, there's more stuff going on here. There's mix bus stuff that the vocal will be going through, but we're just going to bypass the stuff that's directly on the vocal. And let's have a listen here in solo.
As I ride with my horse, blended up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth, bada bang, no remorse.
Okay, so hopefully that's pretty much everything bypassed there. I don't know what you could hear. Actually, maybe a better way to do it. Okay, sorry. I should have done this. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's listen to the actual original vocal track right here. And of course we have to go to the point where the vocal is. Bear with me. There we go.
As I ride with my horse, blended up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got bats, I got...
Okay, so you can hear, I think, and see now the issue that I want to highlight. And that's that there's a lot, especially on the P's here and stuff like that, there's a lot of unnecessary low end, getting into the mic and actually making it sort of distort in a way if you listen. So, yeah, that's a pretty big issue. And when you have an issue like that, of course, you want to try to deal with it right away, but most likely it's an issue that you're going to have to deal with at the beginning somewhat, also in the middle, and maybe at the end as well, just to mitigate everything. And yeah, so okay, let's go back to the beginning here and turn the processing back on. Okay, so yeah, we've done a bit of EQ here, so I wanted to push the vocal a bit more mid-forward. So that was something that I did early on there, just a little tiny touch. 1.5 decibels, I think it was. And then it's going off to the vocal bus here, and this is where we're getting busy. So we've got, again, another high-pass filter. Or wait, did we have a high-pass filter first? No, I don't think we did. Okay, so we have our first high-pass filter to deal with this low end.
As I ride with my horse, blended up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well, up at your porch, hit you with the truth, bada bang, no...
Okay, so that's all you can hear all that when I soloed it there. All the unnecessary low end, right?
Porch.
Hopefully that's loud enough and you can hear it. But yeah, we don't want all that. And especially because we're going to be going through some compressors here. So that's the thing, right? You deal with it, but then it starts to come up again with the compression and things like that. So you might have to deal with it again. That's one thing I kind of want to deal with, is that, like, I think a lot of people seem to think that, it's like, well, you EQ it, you compress it, it's like an order, and, if you do something once, well, you've already done it. But it doesn't really work like that. I mean, if you look at my chain here, we've got some mid-range stuff going on here because there was some harshness and there was a resonance. here. But if you just look at it, it's EQ, a bit of sort of vocal limiting, de-essing, so again to deal with some harsh S's that were coming up with the compression, and this is something that I went back and put in place because I don't always just go linear as well, one A B C D E kind of thing, 1 2 3 4 5. Sometimes I just go back in time and pop a plugin, here and there, or move plugins around. You can do anything you want. So yeah, de-essing, a bit more high passing because we're going through compressors and the low end was coming up again, a bit of dealing with the mid-range, a bit more light compression and EQ, and going through a channel strip for some character, more compression, and again this is going to be a more colorful compressor. So let's hear this in context.
Let me ride in the Porsche, been too long in the stew. I got hits, got stores, yeah. Show respect, show your heart. I got love for my folks. Play the game well, boy. Shake your hand, face force, yeah. Real gentlemen, real friends. Nah, I can't bail on them. I try to guide and speak and keep telling them. These calls, these shoes, they not relevant.
Okay, so let's even do that in solo, actually.
As I ride with my horse, blunted up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth, bada bang, no remorse. You be telling all these lies, who's your man, who's your source? Hand me those keys, let me...
So yeah, bringing the vocal forward, color, kind of sounds thin without it. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, so the point is, it's you'll find, professional, dare I say I'm professional, but professional vocal chains, it's not about one thing then the next thing, just in an order that's set, and well, you've already EQ'd it, No, you EQ, you compress, you EQ, you compress. Once a sound goes through something like a compressor or another processor, it sounds different on the other side. It doesn't treat every frequency equally. So, even if you were, say, to boost a frequency, like, if we go back here, let's get rid of some of these plugins. Hopefully I'm not putting plugins behind my face up here. If I am, I apologize. But, something like this little mid-range forward boost that I'm doing early on here in the chain, you could call that something like pre-emphasis, and I'm going to show that same concept here coming up. But this is something that I want to emphasize, a frequency I want to slightly emphasize before it goes through, some processing further down the line. And later on down the line, if I wanted to cut the same frequency, that's completely valid, because, not that you even need a reason, really. You can just do whatever you want. But yeah, just because you boosted it at one point doesn't mean cutting it at another point is wrong or anything like that. It may or may not be the best way to do things, but it's not wrong. So, okay, so let's look. What else do we have here? We have after the MJUC compressor, colorful compressor here, we have Pultec EQ. So again, more sort of colorful shaping, and then tape. So these two, let's listen to these two, if I can bypass them both at the same time.
Hand me those keys, let me ride in the Porsche. Been too long in the stew, I got hits, got stores, yeah.
Let's go to the second verse, why not?
I be killing these tracks, put a sock in their mouth, fuck this industry cats. I be working these beats, I be spitting these raps. Whole game about to change, watch the industry collapse. Man, I'm sick of these rats. You can find them everywhere, check the holes, check the cracks. Watching why they fall, man.
Okay, so let's turn these two off.
Watching why they fall, man, I'm about to lay these traps. Put a sucker in his place, I'ma kill him with the facts. Bring your stats, but your stats don't impress me. They win it all, they corrupt like Nestle. Know what them facts be, dope on my tracks. Be the boom for your car when you're riding with your bestie. Chicks in the backseat, cute and I'm sexy, they all want.
Okay, so what's going on here? So we got the Pultec. This is going to be adding color, of course. I'm mucking around with the low end here, 100 hertz. A little more cutting than boost. A 10 means attenuation. Excuse me, if you're not familiar. So it's a fancy way to say cutting or reducing a frequency. Turning down. And then I'm doing a decent boost here at 8 kilohertz. So, and then after the Pultec, we have the tape plug-in here, the soft tube tape. So I'm pushing some high frequencies. This is I'll shout out again, Matthew Weiss. I learn a lot from him. You should too. Weiss Advice, go check him out. So we're boosting high end with the Pultec here into the tape plugin. So that is, again, what you call pre-emphasis. And basically the concept is that the tape is going to react differently to the high frequencies than it is to other frequencies, lower and mid. So here, let's bypass the tape only, or sorry, the EQ going into the tape. So it's going to be a little bit different on the low end and color-wise anyways, but let's hear it without the boost. I suppose I'll just turn it down to 0, actually. That'll be a better way to do it. Let's try that.
And I'm sexy, they all wanna fuck, and they tryna undress me. No Ron Leslie, this Ron Kelly. I crashed that Porsche just to ride in the caddy. I'm crazy. As I ride with my horse, blended up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth, bada bang, no remorse. You be telling no.
Okay, so we hear that. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, I mean, if you were to put, so in terms of the logic of the order of the plugins, if you were to put that high-end boost after the tape, I mean, it would be a very different sound. Basically, you're at that point, you're just EQing the sound. But what I'm doing in this case with the EQ before the tape plugin is I'm pushing frequencies into the tape, right? So same thing with a compressor. I mean, a tape module or plugin in a way is like a compressor, because I mean, in this case, I'm not pushing this too hard, but when you push a lot of level into a tape, it compresses. It's what you call tape compression. It's not really the same as compression, like from a compressor, but it's similar. So, yeah, same thing with a compressor, right? If you have the EQ before the compressor, you're pushing frequencies into the compressor, and then the compressor is going to push them down on the other end again, right? Like sometimes beginners get confused because they do big EQ boosts and then they have like aggressive compression or limiting afterwards, and they're boosting and they're turning up also the fader and they're trying to get more of things, but the compressor, the limiter, is just pushing it down again, and they don't understand what's happening, and then it's starting to distort and everything's catching on fire, and it's just, it's not good. It can get confusing. So to simplify things, when you're starting, it's maybe easier sometimes to put the EQ after the compressor or the tape plugin or what have you. But anyways, so we go on with this. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention here is that, so we're pushing high frequencies into the tape with the Pultec EQ, but then with the tape itself, see here, I'm rolling off high frequencies as well with this high frequency trim. That's a bit towards the cut side there, 0.6. So yeah, it's a balance, right? Again, would be completely different if we reverse the order. And then after that, we're adding some harmonic grit. So this again will be a good one to bypass. So let's try this.
bang, no remorse. You be telling all these lies, who's your man, who's your source? Hand me those keys, let me ride, not relevant. Crazy, 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 so crazy. You a crazy mother. I be killing these tracks, put a sock in their mouth, fuck these in the street cats. I be working these beats, I be spitting these raps. Whole game about to change, watch the industry collapse. Man, I'm sick of these rats. You can find them everywhere. Check the holes, check the cracks. Watching what.
So that's a pretty big difference, obviously. Let's hear that in solo.
As I ride with my horse, blunted up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth by the...
Okay, so that's adding grit and color and what have you. Anything you like, really. And then, okay, so this is another trick that I think I've shown off before a little bit. But, so we're adding harmonic stuff here, content. Same with the tape, you know, it's going to be adding some stuff. And then I'm doing just a little bit of upward compression here, just shy of 2 decibels. So we're adding harmonics, and then we're pushing the low, you know, the quiet information up a little bit. So downward, you know, normal compression, you know, as you hear about compression, and it's generally talking about downward compression, right? It's turning stuff that's loud down. But upward compression is a thing also, or expansion, you could call it as well, where you're taking quiet information and turning it up. So I like to do, that's a concept that I like there, that I picked up, and I like to implement. And then from that point, we're going on to a bit of sort of soothing, as the name implies here, because things were getting a bit aggressive, a bit harsh, not really the vibe I was looking for. So, I mean, if you look here, earlier on, the first here in the vocal bus chain, we're doing some similar stuff, dynamic, EQ cut, high mid frequencies, and then, see, this pushing up here means it's the EQ, the dynamic EQ is going to push it down here, watch.
Hit you with the truth, bada bang, no remorse. You be telling all these lies, who's your man, who's your source? Hand me those keys, let me ride in the Porsche. Been too long in the stew, I got hits, got stores. Yeah. Show respect, show your heart, I got love for my folks. Play the game well, boy, shake your hand, face post. Real gentlemen, real friends, nah, I can't bail on them.
Okay, so, yeah, and then, so yeah, we had the EQ first here, we have the de-esser, that's tucking some S frequencies. Unsurprisingly, you can do other things with it, but that's just what I'm doing there. And then the soothe 2 here further along the line, after the distortion and such, and some high end boosts and whatnot. Just tucking the harshness in a little bit. Excuse me. Rough on my voice, these videos. Okay, so and then we just got a bit more dynamic EQ here. And again, tucking a bit of aggressive frequencies, just trying to cool him off again. He's trying to be smooth, right? So we want him to be aggressive but smooth at the same time. And then tube tech, I pretty much always have this guy later in the vocal bus after the pull tech. Usually I put the pull tech closer here, but I did different stuff. I do different stuff all the time. Some people, I guess they have chains they use all the time. I have stuff I like to use, but really it's always different. It's never just plugging in the same thing. But yeah, I like to use this one just to keep things tucked in a little bit. I usually don't. In this case, I am turning up 1 decibel on the output of it, but oftentimes I don't, and I just use it to turn down.
I can't bail on them. I try to guide and speak and keep telling them. These calls, these shoes, they not. As I ride with my horse, blunted up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth, bada bang, no remorse. You be telling all these lies, who's your man, who's your source? Hand me.
Okay, so that's that one. So that was, you know, all soothed. And the tube tech and some of the EQ there was just, you know, it's about keeping it cool and keeping it tucked in. And then we have the mag EQ here. I oftentimes just use this 40 kilohertz boost, which is a very broad boost. And, we can't hear 40 kilohertz, but it extends down below 20 kilohertz, where we do start to be able to hear. It's very broad and very nice sounding and smooth, no harshness. So I was introducing some brightness back with this EQ afterwards, after the compression here, and did a little bit of mucking around here with some of the other fixed frequencies. So you can see what they are there. And then just finally we had some limiting, and I'm turning the output down even more. So this is just catching the top peaks here. Watch.
Man, who's your source? Hand me those keys, let me ride in the Porsche. Been too long in the stew, I got his gas stores, yeah.
Sorry, I pointed at my screen like you can see it. Of course you can't. But look at the look at the readout on the plugin, and you can see when the reductions are happening on the graphic.
His gas stores, yeah. Show respect, show your heart. I got love for my folks. Play the game well, boy. Shake your hand, face post, yeah. Real gentlemen, real friends, nah.
So you can see most of the time it's not touching it. It's just ever so often there's just some peaks that come up, and it's just catching those, just making sure they stay tucked. So yeah, and then we got some effects on here too. Just a short delay that I've shown in another video, H3000 Soundtoys thing, which again I've shown before, and my parallel chain, my usual one, all shown before, but we can bypass all of these, and it's going to be a pretty big difference, I think. One thing to consider is that, where do you want to get all the, you need the vocal to be a certain level, right? A certain volume. Maybe you want it to be loud on top of the music. Maybe you want it to be more blended in. Maybe you want it to be almost drowned out a bit. But do you just make it louder and louder and louder? Do you compress it more? Do you boost certain more audible frequencies with EQ? Do you distort or saturate? There's lots of ways to get level. Do you do parallel processing? Short reverbs in particular, or short loud reverbs are a great way to, bring a vocal forward and bring the level up. There's all kinds of ways to get level out of something without just simply turning it up, although the simplest and most effective way is always to just turn it up. But I like to think of it as like I'm getting a little bit here, a little bit there with everything I do with the mixing, including something like, how loud does the vocal need to be overall finally. So yeah, let's try bypassing after the giant ramble. Let's try bypassing. So this is the parallel chain, the H3000 widening sort of chorus effect, thickening, and the short delay reverb thing. Okay, so here we go.
As I ride with my horse, blended up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assault. I got bats, I got gas, I got knives, I got forks. 20 motherfuckers showing up at your porch. Hit you with the truth, by the bang, no remorse.
Okay, so yeah, there's that. There's a little bit of EQ there, just on the end of the vocal bus. Again, just tucking some harsher, more aggressive frequencies, smoothing them out, cooling them out. So yeah, and then there's a lot of automation going on as well. I'm automating effects up and down. You name it, right? Just whatever to get sort of everything popping the way I want it at every particular part in the song, and to make sure that it's not stale, right? Like the ear gets used to the same, right? Static mixes, they can work, but usually it's more about, I find, deciding which elements you want to stay more static and which elements need to be more dynamic. Because here's one concept just in general with mixing that I've learned, that we end up compressing a lot, right? We hear about, loudness wars and overcompression and all this stuff. But the reality is the music that you like, most likely, especially if it's hip hop, a vocal like this, I mean, I'm getting probably 9, 10 decibels, whatever, of compression and limiting on the vocal, which is a lot. But that's what's expected in the genre, sort of thing, right? If you try to do 2 or 3, I mean, it might not sound right, even though that's maybe more purist in general. I mean, throw it out the window, right? So, yeah, I mean, I digress. But yeah, automation's important. Not getting things not getting stale to the ear. It's important. And yeah, compressing, we compress a lot, and one way to sort of inject dynamic and life back into things is to do automation, right? So you can, maybe we overcompress a little bit or get things very controlled, and then you decide with a vocal, like here, where's my vocal automation? So I would have some stuff going on here. So this is the limiter output. So all along the song here, I'm playing, again, I'm pointing. I'm playing with the level for it to be exactly what I want. Here on the level on the bus, I'm playing with it a lot. Like here's one thing I can highlight. So the first verse, it's at the level it's at, and then, oh yeah, right, and I need to highlight some of the arrangement stuff that I did as well. So, but in the first verse, we're at a set level, whatever that may be. And then in the second verse, I decided that the vocals need to be more featured. So, they're just kind of coming up here, right? Like let's hear the first verse, and I'm going to skip to the second verse.
As I ride with my horse, blended up high through the dark with my torch. Smooth with the mic, lead the pen with no force. Well equipped for the trip, I got weapons of assaults. I got best, I got gas. I be killing these tracks, put a sock in their mouth, fuck this industry cats. I be broken these beats, I be spitting these raps. Whole game about to change, watch the industry collapse. Man,
okay, so I'm pushing the level up. I'm also thinning out the arrangement. You can see here I've muted this this main sample here, which we can hear.
Crazy. You a crazy motherfucker.
Right? So there's some reverb on there. It's taken up some space, and I just decided that wasn't necessary there. It would be more effective to take it away for a couple of bars or whatever it is, and then bring it back. I'm also taking out a little bit of background vocals here. There's parts where I'm taking out some hi-hat hits. Yeah, here earlier on, you can see I took out a couple of hi-hat hits. So, yeah, the arrangement was just a bit over. There's a lot of stuff going on, and they just sort of filled it out a little bit too much. And rather than trying to push the vocal through, I thought the best thing to do was just sort of thin it out a little bit, right? And plus it makes the arrangement more interesting anyways. And yeah, one of the best decisions you can make, when an arrangement isn't quite hitting, or, it's a bit overcrowded, is just to mute something, I mean, you can turn it down and down and down, or EQ it to hell or whatever, but if it's not supposed to be there, it's not supposed to be there, right? So let's hear this section.
You motherfucker crazy. You crazy. I be killing these tracks, put a sock in their mouth, fuck this industry cats. I be broken these beats, I be spitting these raps. Whole game about to change, watch the industry collapse. Man, I'm sick of these rats. You can find them everywhere. Check the holes, check the cracks. Watching why they fall, man, I'm about to lay these traps. Put a sucker in his place, I'ma kill him with the facts. Bring your stats, but your stats don't impress me. They win it all, they corrupt like Nestle. Know what them facts be, dope on my tracks be.
Okay, so by that point, everything's sort of coming back. That corrupt like Nestle line is fire too. But good job, Ryan Calley. Shout out if you're listening. Good job, buddy. Great job on this song. Okay, so yeah, I mean, hopefully that helps out. I mean, there's a lot of background vocals here. That's one other thing I can show. Also, yeah, at this second verse, I'm sort of making everything more dry as well. I'm bringing down the effects. Uh, just contrast, right? And it just seemed right. But yeah, so there's a main track here of like ad libs. So and here's another thing, right? If you need to, like, you can see I've chopped this up, and that was basically for the purpose of sometimes muting some stuff, but oftentimes just see like clip gaining here. Like I've just turned this clip down 3 decibels because it was just too loud, right? So you can do that with background vocals. You can do that with lead vocals. I mean, sure, you can compress something, but you don't really want a vocal or whatever hitting a compressor, especially like an analog compressor, if it's all over the place, right? If you've got like whoop 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 like levels all over, then just sound effects. Why did I do that? Um, but yeah, just go ahead and clip it up and turn things up and down until it's sort of a balanced level to begin with, right? That's one of the best things you can do as well. It's not glamorous. It's more like editing, but it's really a key to mixing. But here, let's listen to this ad lib track.
Scott Storch. Yeah.
So you can,
Face boss.
excuse me.
Yeah.
You can see I
I can't.
I'm automating
Try.
the panning. I'm gonna stop him. It's too
Yeah.
distracting. Okay, so I'm automating the panning, just kind of almost randomly a little bit, and then just sort of fine tuning it to be what I want it to be. I did this mix a little bit quickly, to be honest. It's maybe not 100% perfect. Honestly, there's no such thing, though. So, it's a mix. It works for me. I like it. I could spend more time on it. You know, I might make it better. I might make it worse. Detail. It's detail that takes time, right? So I could spend more time on all the background vocals and everything, being very particular. Uh, but I like where it's at right now. And yeah, this is one thing where it's just sort of panning all over the place. Here's another thing I can highlight. So with these background vocals here, we have wide panning. So this is like a double track sort of thing. Like he actually recorded it twice. I don't know if it's exactly the same. Let's hear.
You crazy, crazy, crazy. Care you crazy, crazy, crazy. Care you crazy.
Yep. So yeah, one's hard left and one's hard right. So we get very wide. But I'm not really doing that with anything else for the most part, if anything. So that's another sort of mix, you know, bedrock or something. I'm struggling for a word there. But is that if I start taking all of these background tracks and panning them left, hard right, everything, I mean nothing's gonna it's gonna seem wide in a way, but you're not gonna have so much contrast. And especially if you start doing that with all the instrumental tracks and everything, and you just start, you make everything wide. Well, nothing's gonna seem wide because you need stuff that is narrow to show you how, wide it really sounds, right? So yeah, contrast. It's a big deal. And also, though, when you do pan something out wide, uh, sometimes you can get away with not EQing stuff as much. So that's something to think about. I mean, you most likely don't want to pan your lead vocal, say, all the way to one ear, like it's an early Beatles track. I mean, maybe you do, but you probably don't. But just something to put in the back of your heads. But anyways, yeah, I guess I'm gonna wrap it up now. Hopefully this is all helpful, and yeah, maybe I'll do a full mix breakdown on this, and hopefully it doesn't get taken down by Ryan Calley's management or record label or whatever. Anyways, guys, peace.